The freaky Pocker Face was watching Williams, who was hidden inside a car in the dead of night. Takata and Nora did not know they were playing instruments and singing songs for a crowd of ghosts. These true scary stories that really happened have reached us from various continents and are bound to make your blood run cold. Watch out for the story of Henry and a killer clown. But before that, remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more sinister stories before bedtime. Creepy stuff is here to serve you. A true story happened back in 1997 in Kuwait. Back in those years, weddings in Kuwait were very traditional and classic. Takata Nora, a band group, was known for being called by people to play music. The band would go to the bride's house one night before the actual wedding, play Arabic musical instruments and sing songs. Just like any other day at work, this band group was called by a family to perform the singing job and bring entertainment to their function. Nora and her female colleagues prepared for the event, took their instruments, and went to the given address. Funnily enough, the place was situated a bit far from the usual hustle and bustle of the city. The group Takakik Nora started to perform its job. Suddenly, the women at the function got wild and high on dopamine. All of them started to dance to the music Takakik Nora was playing. Once in the dead of the night, the light went out, and nothing was visible in the darkness. Still, the group was ordered to sing and play the instruments while the women danced to the tunes. All of a sudden, the member of the band singing on the stage fainted. The band stopped, rushed towards her, and took her to the guest room. They tried to wake her up. When she did become conscious, the look of fear and horror on her face was visible. She started crying. The band asked her what was wrong, and the woman stammered that the women dancing on the stage were not ordinary. She had seen the legs of one of the women, and they were just like those of a goat. They understood that these beings were not humans, but ghosts. They were jinns. The whole band couldn't believe that that scary incident was really happening. They were worried sick about what they would do next, until Nora saw the window in the guest room and decided to break it open. For survival, a person can do anything. The band ran away at full speed as soon as they got out of the house, putting as much distance between them and the house as possible. On their way, they found a man walking on the road. He asked them what was wrong when he saw them out of breath. When they told him about the weird house and the creepy people there, he just stared at the house they were pointing at and said in a confused voice, "That house has been empty for 10 years. All of them were quiet for a full minute, till the intensity of the situation dawned upon them. It was an experience none of them was going to forget. The unexpected actual incident happened in my house in March 2010 in Dubai. Before that event, we had never heard of or seen anything exceptional in our home. I remember that day as if it happened just yesterday. That is because the incident gave me so many chills that I have not been able to forget it since then. My cousin, siblings, and I gathered and had a lot of fun that day. We were just children then, and I was just a 9-year-old boy. At night, all of us decided what to play. Everyone accepted my idea as the best. I loved playing hide and seek in the dark at night. Everyone thought it was a cool idea. Everyone loves a good scare, we thought. Little did we know, we would get the worst scare of our lives in a few moments. We decided to play the game in the guest room. I lost a shuffle and was the one to seek everyone hiding. After 20 seconds, I announced, "I am coming." I pushed on the guest room door and stepped inside the darkness. After a full minute of stepping around and picking up everyone hiding in odd spots, I decided to cheat. Only my younger cousin Sarah was left inside the room. While everyone I caught hiding stood outside, talking and giggling, I came outside the room and tried to persuade them to tell me where she was hiding. While trying to force them, I suddenly heard something that made my heart miss a beat. My cousin in the room suddenly started laughing. As if this weird act wasn't enough, she said out loud, "Oh, stop, Ibrahim." My blood ran cold, and the color drained out of everyone's faces. No one was inside except Sarah, but she could see and feel some physical presence. She thought it was me. The door was closed, and my feet felt of stone as I walked to open it. I opened the door, turned on the light, and everyone else crowded behind me. My cousin was crouching beneath the table. On seeing us, her eyes widened, and horror sketched across her face, and she screamed loudly, jumping to her feet. We ran to our parents' room and told them that a ghost was talking and interacting with us in the guest room. However, they did not believe us, just like any typical parent. But the memories still haunt us. We never played hide and seek in the dark ever again. The true, terrifying story of a 23-year-old pilot named Milton surfaced in 2021. Milton was a pilot and had to stay at different hotels because his job was of such a nature. He often had to stay in strange, old, and rundown hotels, but this was his worst experience. After one of his flights, Milton arrived at the hotel designated by his company. He was sent to the second floor of the building in the room at the end of the corridor. When Milton came to his room, he saw that it was generally acceptable, with everything he needed and a door that connected him to the next room. After dinner, Milton returned to his room, bathed, and called it a night. However, he heard a strange knock on his door. Once, twice, thrice. The person went on. Milton heard it for a few moments, but decided not to get out of bed. The knocking continued for hours, until Milton finally slept uncomfortably. When Milton woke up the next day, the picture frame hanging right in front of him was the first thing he saw while lying in bed. 4 young ladies in white were standing side by side. He looked at the frame briefly, then turned over and returned to a doze. However, his relaxing time was disrupted once again by the sound of knocking. Didn't these guests have manners? Milton thought. Irritated, he got up and decided to go down for breakfast. Just as he got up, he saw something that made him stop in his tracks. The picture frame had just 2 women instead of 4. He looked at the still picture for a while. The smile of one of the ladies seemed highly creepy. Then, to satisfy his pounding heart, he told himself it must be his imagination, or he just remembered the number of ladies wrong. He quickly shuffled out of the room and went downstairs. As soon as he saw a staff member, he asked him, keeping his tone natural, "Who is staying in the room next to 167? He looked at him as if he was weird and replied that they only had 1 guest on the 2nd floor. Milton felt the time stop as the revelation descended upon him. Shrugging sinister thoughts out of his mind, he went back up, feeling that he was no longer hungry. Just as he stepped into the room, the first thing he saw once again was the picture frame. Only 1 woman stood alone, smiling at him. As the knocking started again, Milton felt the hair on the back of his neck rise. He rushed out and down the stairs, away from the room. Whenever he heard a knock again, he could never forget those horrifying sounds that still made his blood run cold. If you are enjoying these stories, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. More scary videos are on their way. I was sitting in my room all alone the day when it happened. It was night, and everyone was sleeping cozily. However, I was playing video games in my room. What else does a 13-year-old boy love to do? Anyway, I was busy enjoying myself, so engrossed in the game that I did not know what was happening behind my back. Or to be more specific, on my back. I felt a tickling, hot sensation grow intense every second, so I suddenly stood up and hopped on the spot. No one was in the room, and nothing was moving or near me. I shouted. My sound woke my parents. They rushed to my room and checked what was on my back that made it so itchy and unbearable. It was as if someone had placed a hot iron on me. My parents took a look and saw a deep gash on my back. However, strangely and creepily, the wound healed as quickly as it appeared. Nothing was clear, and not a single thing made sense. I went to the washroom to wash my face and get myself together. When I opened the door to the washroom and stood in front of the mirror, the first thing I saw was someone in overall black standing behind me. I stood rooted to the spot, scared to move or make a sound while that black figure was so close to me. And then, in front of me, the figure just vanished into thin air, as if it had evaporated. I couldn't believe what I just saw, so I staggered out of the bathroom and back to my room. However, I knew this for sure. That was the same thing that had given me the wound. It was a jinn, a ghost who had touched me. After that day, I did not sleep a single night without having a nightmare about black faces and figures cursing me. Rewinding back to 1976, we'll find that Henry lived in Chicago then. Since the beginning, Henry never liked clowns. They always gave him the creeps. He never liked their vibe whenever he looked at them in videos and movies. Henry went to his friend's birthday celebration and saw the one thing he hated most at birthday parties: a clown. While the clown did his job, shuffling things and making jokes, Henry stayed uncomfortable the whole time. To make matters worse, he always felt as if the clown was keeping an eye on him. He told this to his friends, but he just thought it was Henry's imagination. Henry's instincts were proved correct when the clown found Henry sitting alone eating cake later in the party and approached him. The clown tried to tell Henry he was a good person and that he should meet him. However, Henry politely rejected the offer and got away. Years later, Henry found out it was none other than John Wayne Gacy, the person who targeted 33 young boys and exploited them. 29 out of those boys were buried in his house. Henry had just been an agreement away from such a fate. I am Williams, and I never knew I would narrate a horror story about my life. It was one of the days I met with my friend in his house, which was situated in an area away from the city. We had got together after a long time and decided to get drunk. However, I realized that it was not a very wise decision. Late that night, after playing cards and drinking for too long, my friend decided to bid me goodbye. I'd rather stay the night at his home, but he never offered. Thanks to getting drunk, he must have forgotten his manners. Anyway, I could not drive in such a state, so I went to my car, lay down in the back seat, and covered myself up with my sweaters lying in the car. I decided to lay an hour or two there to get sober enough to drive. I covered myself because it was late at night in a lonely place, and I did not want the police or anything unwanted to see me from the outside. As the clock ticked hard seconds away, I heard footsteps approaching me slowly, dragging each step. The sound of them made me hold my breath, fear paralyzing me. And then I heard a sound whispering, "My dear man, I know you're in there." It was a sing-song voice that made my adrenaline run high. I could feel him stand for a second, playing with me. And then he moved around the car, checking for some way to open it. "My name is Pocker Face," the voice sounded again. Then I heard the sound of metal on glass and a slight crackle of evil laughter. Just as I was thinking whether I could survive till the next day, the sound stopped. Perhaps he could not find a way in. He went away, and my breathing relaxed as I heard his footsteps echo in the distance. I was too afraid to even sigh in relief. Just as the first rays of sun hit my car's roof, I got to the front seat, put my foot down, and drove at top speed towards my house. That crackling sound was still echoing in my head.